My name is Pavol Kucharovic, and I work as a spokesperson and the permanent representation of the Slovak Republic to the EU. My work basically consists of communicating to the Slovak public what's going on in the EU, especially in the Council of the European Union, but also explaining to the international media what is the position of Slovakia towards the issues on the table. Regarding the participation of young people in public affairs, the permanent representation is trying to be as active as possible. For instance, we offer internships for students from different fields of expertise, not only international affairs. Our experts, political advisors, and ambassadors often participate in seminars and discussions with university and high school students. And as many young people use social media as a main source of information, publishing EU-related content in an attractive way on our social media is essential in order to bring these EU affairs closer to the next younger generation. Nowadays, there are lots of opportunities, but it always depends on the area of interest of everyone. From the professional point of view and from my personal experience, I can recommend you internships in public institutions. Even though these are usually unpaid, in my opinion, if you are not in very pressing financial situation, it is useful to gain experience and practical skills to support the theoretical background from the university. This extra experience will not only give you the real overview and help you to understand better the processes, but also increase your value on the labor market once you finish the studies and start finding a job. As I was always interested in international affairs, on my own I have experienced internships at the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs of the Slovak Republic, permanent mission of the Slovak Republic to the UN and other international organizations based in Geneva, and Slovak Embassy in Lisbon, Portugal. And all of them I highly recommend you. Besides traineeships on Slovak embassies and missions abroad, including the permanent representation of the Slovak Republic to the EU in Brussels, I will definitely encourage you to follow and look on the web pages and social media accounts of the EU institutions and agencies of your interest. For example, the Blue Book internships in the European Commission, European Parliament, or very competitive traineeship program of the Council of the EU. And of course, if you are still studying, it's always good to ask regarding the opportunities responsible department of your faculty or university first. The experience you get, often for free, sometimes even remunerated, you can then use in your research or future employment in private but also public sector, and this way contribute to making the services more effective and citizen-oriented. I think you will agree with me that the world around us is not perfect, and I don't think it will be once finished and totally problemless. However, I will try to take every opportunity of our relatively short life to make the world today just a little bit better than it was yesterday. And in this regard, if you take this really seriously and would like to see results of your efforts, it is reasonable to start to execute your dreams as soon as possible, even though you are young, even though you miss the expertise. That's just a question of time and hard work. Much more important is that you have the idea, the passion, a vision of a city, region, country, or a world that works well and where you would like to live in. Let me conclude with one popular quote. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. So I encourage you to start doing something. Right here, right now. When I started, I received a desk with computer and a desk phone. However, this model of a phone, actually the same as my colleagues in the office had, was very old. I think from the end of the 90s. But what more, it didn't show missed calls. 20 years ago, it was natural that the technology wasn't so much developed, but nowadays everybody is used to reply back if somebody called you and you were not able to answer at that moment. That's why I started to get information how to replace that phone with just a little bit more up-to-date model that could show missed calls. My colleagues told me it was not possible. And after 1 week of my unsolved request, I started to moderate my expectations. However, after 2 weeks, one man opened the door and asked, "Who is Pavol Kucharovic? I have a desk phone for you." The best day of my life. I got the phone which shows missed calls. And when my colleagues saw it, it didn't take long, and in 1 week, they all replaced their old phones with newer models. Conclusion: it is always good to take into account and consult with more experienced colleagues. Never mind, at the same time, keep in your mind innovative ideas and don't be afraid to make them reality. Maybe the others will find them useful as well. Just keep observing the little things, stories of everyday life. Today, the best example of inspiration that comes to my mind are the doctors, nurses, and all the medications endlessly helping saving patients' lives who suffer COVID-19. Real heroes. That's the best example of never giving up. Let me stress two things. The first, too much comfort. If you were born and grown up in good conditions, missing nothing, it is more difficult to find motivation to make a positive change. However, try to step out of your comfort zone. Go study abroad. Try to speak with older people. Know the world around you. Then try to know the life in other parts of the world. Try to understand it. Such a life out of comfort zone will be much more challenging, but at the same time also much more beneficial. I experienced it many times. During my university studies, I did 3 study exchange programs in Spain, Brazil, and Portugal. When I came to Brazil, I wasn't actually able to speak Portuguese, but as I had a relatively good level of Spanish, I understood easily the grammar. As I studied all the subjects in Portuguese, it provides me a lot of vocabulary, and as I was very open to speak with everybody, I started to catching up the pronunciation. And after 5 months of very intense contact with this language, I could communicate fluently. The beginnings are always difficult, but just keep going. If you put in your efforts always with love and greater objective in your mind that everything is possible, the results will come naturally. And the second thing, preventing youth from being active, in my opinion, frustration from the first failure. And here, let me quote my high school teacher of Spanish. Everybody can fail, we are humans. It's not a shame. The shame is to fall and keep lying on the ground.